Hey everybody, welcome to the show. It's the Film Fan Club Cinema Chat. It's our first time trying it.
This is where it all started. 9 years and now 100 episodes ago. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Film Fan Club show, and I am Sam Carrico. I can hardly believe it. 9 glorious years and 100 episodes, or as the studios might say, here's to our 9th sequel and counting. I mean, who doesn't love a franchise that refuses to die? Now, as I stand before you tonight, I can't help but feel like I'm standing in the remnants of the box office Olympics, dodging the debris of the overhyped sequels, requels, and quite frankly, the numerous Dead Reckoning Part 1s that never quite stuck the landing. I mean, the film industry has changed quite a bit since 2015, and at this point, it doesn't just need a rescue mission, they need the whole Avengers team. Perhaps even a well-placed Thanos snap to erase some of those failed projects. Take superhero fatigue, for instance. We've watched as our beloved cinematic franchises have gone from No Way Home to How Do We Get Home? Over the past 9 years, we've navigated the ever-evolving landscape of entertainment. We've been knee-deep with streaming services playing hopscotch in our wallets. Remember the time when we could binge watch without a side of ads? What a time to be alive, right? There's the annual horse race, too. Countless hours spent in front of award shows, sitting through them. They didn't even matter in the end. For years, we've endured the whims of 300 voters who were probably flown to Paris for 2 nights at a $1,400 a night hotel. 9 years in, I'm realizing the real winners were our loyal viewers tuning in each week. Well, and me, because I won the Emmy. Through it all, we still find joy in our collective passion for storytelling. More than ever, each episode has become a reunion with friends, turning critiques into conversations. I still remember our very first episode sitting in front of the camera, rambling about whatever garbage was at the box office while trying to figure out which home video Prometheus to watch. Fast forward to now, we're still here, knee-deep in dark conversations about everything from Barbie to the existential crisis that is Doctor Who. But somewhere along the way, we discovered that film is not just entertainment, it's a community. Over the years, we've gotten to know each other, sharing laughs about movies that make us cry and those that make us scratch our heads. We've celebrated triumphs like Twisters, proving that occasionally we can still leave the theater feeling like winners. We've watched movies like Killers of the Flower Moon inspire a whole new generation of film fans. And it fills my heart with joy knowing that the next wave of filmmakers are out there, ready to smash the status quo. So tonight, let's tip our hats to the whimsical world of cinema that brings us together. For the countless laughs, and yes, the occasional angst that we've shared, here's to many more episodes, lots more laughs, and overwhelming opinions. And here's hoping we'll continue to discover amazing stories, all without having to suffer through another Madam Web. All right, let's welcome tonight's guest. Joining us from the Mission Matinee podcast, which is part of the Film Fan Club network of podcasts, we got Alex McKellar.
Hi.
Welcome, Alex. We've got another returning champion from the Mission Matinee podcast, which is part of the Film Fan Club network of podcasts. John Lein is here. John.
Hello.
Welcome. Guys, 100 episodes of the Film Fan Club show. I don't know how to describe it. John, you've been with us since 2021. I believe Dune Part 1 was the first episode that you came on to review. Maybe you did some Oscars stuff that year. Just describe this journey. I mean, being with us for 4 years now?
It was really cool.
Looking back, I mean, how will you look at movies now? You can never look at movies the same way again, I imagine. 100 episodes.
Well, you can never look at movies the same way as the last time before you watched the last movie you watched.
Because now there's more movies that
right.
exist. Yeah.
And you've seen more of them.
It's like, can you walk through the same river twice?
Alex, you joined us for the bonus podcast, Loki Season 1. It's been ever since, I think we were talking about it. Loki Season 1, The Suicide Squad, Shang-Chi, and now you're a regular here for our 100th episode. I mean, Mike, come on.
I'm in the big leagues now.
How are you feeling? You're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, by the way.
I know, it's cool. I mean, the real friends were the films we saw along the way. It's been nice.
I'm glad you said that. Joker 1. We saw it all. John, you and I saw Joker 1 in 2019. Tell us a little bit about your experience with that film. Did you like it at the time? Were you expecting it to be good?
I liked it when then I was leaving the theater, I was like, I definitely would need to watch that again to fully get it. But then I didn't watch it again until Wednesday night.
And when you watched it again, what
It
did you
was
think?
really good. It held up. It's depressing and fucked, but good.
Good movie though.
Yeah.
Alex, a lot of people were saying it's a one and done. You don't need to do these movies ever again. Joker touched it once, no sequel. Were you hesitant of a sequel?
I mean, I like we talked about off air. Like my first time seeing the first one, didn't enjoy it as much. Again, because I had a different movie in my head, but rewatching it, enjoyed it a lot more. And I mean, it was a movie. Since I didn't like the first time, I didn't think it needed a sequel, but I was wrong. The sequel was good.
I love the first Joker movie. I was in one of the. I anticipated it heavily when it was coming out. I was very impressed by Joaquin Phoenix's performance. I mean, he won a Best Actor for it. I mean, the sequel though, everyone's like, can you do another sequel? It's one and done. I don't think so. I don't think it's one and done because I've always thought you could do the Harley Quinn storyline. You can bring in Harley Quinn. There's more you can do with this character. So when I found out they were bringing in Harley Quinn, I was super excited. Then this is where the controversy starts. It's going to be a musical. John, is that automatically bad?
No, I love musicals. They're great.
But they have to stop the story to sing.
Yeah, that's true. As soon as they break into song, the narrative is done.
There's no character stuff happening.
That's
and
right.
Zero character stuff.
Zero story stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like I've teased enough. Should we go into our reactions to Joker 2?
You know, it's not quite a musical because there are scenes and lines that aren't sung.
Okay, you're getting a little too meta for us right now. All right, I love Joker 2. I'm gonna plant my flag right now. Joker 1 is a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Joker 2 is a great movie.
I think so. Yeah,
Which one's better, very good or great?
We're not going there just yet.
Oh,
Let's have you answer the question. John, what did you think of Joker 2 walking out of the theater? Did you like it more than the first movie?
I did like it more than the first one, and it makes all of Batman better.
It's coming with a hot take right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning. Okay. We'll unpack that in 1 second. Alex, you kind of teased that you like Joker 2.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed it a whole bunch. Again, like first time through Joker 1 wasn't my favorite, but partly on me, had an idea for where I wanted that movie to go, and it didn't go there. And then this one came in and, made me regret my past self being hard on Todd Phillips, not believing in him, not knowing he could land this ship as well as he did. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I think this one, like sort of tonally, it's still very nihilistic and dark, but like there's a bit more levity brought into it in some ways. It isn't like, not to say the other one in a bad way is a slog to get through, but it's just sort of like dark the whole time. This one had more bits. I think having those musical elements leaning into sort of the fantastical fantasy, which we can get into more, I think helped it. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm in the camp of that ending. Incredible.
Okay.
So.
There's a lot of stuff to unpack there. Let's kind of go with what I've already set up. Did you like Lady Gaga? Did you like the music?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think it fit. I mean, like definitely there's points where the singing is more, I guess, like what you would expect if you were just like quietly singing in real life. But then that sort of slowly builds. And I mean, it's thematically connected to what's going on. Like they talk about when they're in the music therapy, we use music to help people connect themselves to like repair those parts. And the movie sort of starts to do that. And without getting too much into spoilers, we see how that's used by each character for like their own ends in a way.
John, a lot of people have said that the musical stuff and some other elements, including the first, without getting too far into spoilers, there's an opening animated sequence that starts this film. Some of the people thought that was a little bit too, like, that and the music, tonally weird for a Joker sequel. But I'll disagree. I thought that Joker 1, there's musical elements in that film. He sings that's life at the end of it, I thought this was right up the alley. How do you think they handled that balance of incorporating the music and Lady Gaga, if you want to talk about her character, her portrayal more?
Asked me like 3 questions.
Music, Lady Gaga.
Okay. I really like the music. I like the moments early on in the movie they're singing timidly. They're like shy about it because they're in a location that is repressing their expression. And so the vocals are very like just Lady Gaga singing, and she's a little timid and faltering. And then as she gets more into it, they get louder and the music comes in and all that kind of stuff. It's really well done that way. And Lady Gaga was really good in it.
But don't you know, Lady Gaga's a pop star. I mean, come on, she sang Bad Romance. How can she be in a serious movie like a superhero movie?
The serious movie.
So this
I
is
guess
obvious.
this is
This
serious.
is obviously my straw man. I've seen A Star Is Born. I mean, she
Yeah.
was great in A Star Is Born. Not so great in House of Gucci, but she's a talented actress. This is another one of those things where I'm like, I thought it was going to be fun. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to be a musical with Lady Gaga in it. And I'm like, it's like they made it just for me. I love La La Land. Oh, when the saints go marching. And it's very thematic. It works so well that the through line is used so well through the music without getting too much into details. Let's talk a little bit more about this. This is a Harley Quinn story. Introduces Harley Quinn into the Joker world.
The Joker.
We watched, what?
I think 3 episodes.
Three different origin stories for Harley Quinn. We watched Mad Love from Batman, the animated series. We watched a episode that I forgot the title of from The Batman. And then we watched an episode that I forgot the title of from Batman Cape Crusader, all about Harley Quinn. How do you think, as I throw to you, John, I'm going to ask you more questions.
Okay.
Is Harley Quinn a static character in this movie?
No. The character that we get at the beginning of Harley Quinn, we discover, is all lies that she's using to manipulate Arthur. And so there's an element to it where she is obsessed with him the whole time, and so she doesn't. Well, I guess she does change that at the end too. Spoilers.
We are going to get into spoilers as this review goes on.
Harley Quinn is still obsessed with the Joker.
That's true. That's true. It's just the Joker is a different being.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. Oh my God.
He's more of an idea, and ideas are bulletproof.
That's great. England prevails. That's what I mean, Alex, when I say static. You know, a lot of I was wrestling with this in the earlier half of the film. What I enjoy about the Harley Quinn character is seeing a normal person be brought to insanity by the Joker. That's very much missing from this film. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, but the other spoilers, the thing that people, some of the things I've seen and read online, still seem to not understand is that the other thing that's absent in this movie is the Joker. So, like, we haven't seen Harley Quinn fully interact with the Joker yet and be brought further into madness. We've seen her head that direction with the idea, with the potential. She's open to it. She wants to engage in that fantasy, but, like, we haven't gotten there yet.
We just keep teasing the ending. This is right at the beginning. This is how we pepper a podcast with little teases throughout. We just keep talking about the ending. Arkham Asylum, big Arkham head here. Who doesn't love Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, Batman Arkham Knight, Batman Arkham Origins, Batman Arkham Asylum, a serious house of unserious Earth. Arkham Asylum as a character in this movie, I really appreciate it. You mentioned, Alex, it's a little different from the Arkham that we saw in the first movie. I think that continuity, it might be a continuity error. I think it works. They didn't know they were doing a sequel. In doing a sequel, how can we make it better? We flesh out Arkham as a character. We spend most of the movie in Arkham Asylum. I like that about the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I get, like, that whole, like, hanging out in Arkham, I really enjoyed. I mean, because, like, you know, seeing the guards, it's also still within the world that Batman hasn't shown up to bring out all these other, like, super villain type characters. So it's just currently now a place for, you know, the mentally insane, sort of like Shutter Island-esque. But still you get, like, you know, that stuff that will sort of potentially carry on into future Gotham, future Arkham, of the guards, you know, being, like, brutal with the inmates, but, like, still there's all these different things going on. And it just, as a location, I thought was really well used. You know, it's got, like, we see Arthur, like, the routine he's put through several times, just sort of the humdrum of the whole place. And then you see, like, I guess the solitary confinement he gets thrown in. Like, we had that great shot with the light laying on his face, and then they slam him into his cell. So, I mean, it wasn't as much of a character as it is in other movies, other properties, especially the games, but, like, it still felt like it belonged in this universe, and also could be in some way connected to those future movies.
Great point, Alex. John, if I am being a negative Nancy, Batman Arkham Asylum, yeah, you mentioned it, Alex, has a lot more character to that version of Arkham Asylum than this one. I don't believe that this was founded by Amadeus Arkham in the 1700s. Is that a net negative for this film? Making Arkham more realistic.
No, I think it. I mean, in this version of the Batman universe, Arkham has not yet been turned into a prison for superpowered people. So it makes sense that at this moment in time, it would be more mundane, kind of standard asylum stuff before like Poison Ivy and Dr. Freeze and the Penguin are all being insane. Mr. Freeze,
You just gave him a
He's
promotion.
also a
It's
doctor.
Dr. Freeze.
He has a doctorate, I'm sure.
They took away his degree when he started doing crimes.
John Brendan Gleeson.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple times, I said this in the car on the way over here. There's a couple times I could not understand what the hell he was trying to say. Oh, Sonny, you got a joke for me today? What? Huh? Huh? John, what did you think of Brendan Gleeson? He's a great actor. Banshees of Inisherin is good, despite Barry Keoghan, but he's good. Brendan Gleeson is a good actor.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson's great in basically anything I see him in. I really like him, and he is kind of perfect for the role that they had him in here. The kind of overweight, domineering guard, and then also he manages to sometimes be nice to inmates in the asylum, and so there's this element of like every now and then you see him be decent, but then it's all just the facade that he's wearing, because actually he's horrible. As soon as anybody challenges him, he has to assert his dominance and be bad. So it's just this interesting, like, when he's in a position of power, he can afford to be kind of nicer. But then as soon as that position of power is called into question, he has to back it up with brutality. And he does it. He's great at doing both those things as an actor.
What does this say about the structures, Alex?
The structures we exist in. I mean,
just leaving it vague.
Okay. I mean, again, it calls back to Murray in the first one. Like he sees himself as a nice guy, and, he has access to all this power. And then, when the Joker, Arthur Fleck, shows up and he starts to call out, how people are mean. He's like, I'm not mean. I'm a nice guy. I just brought you on my show to bully you in front of millions of people. I'm a nice dude, And we get that echoed throughout this one as well. People still assuming they're the good person. They're like claiming the moral high ground because they've done well in society. Also echoing back to what Thomas Wayne said.
Right.
Like, anyone who hasn't, pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, and made something of themselves is a clown. Like, I don't take poor people seriously because it's their fault that they're poor. That same idea is carried over, but now it's within like the microcosm structure of Arkham Asylum. Those same logics that, kept Arthur pushed down.
All right. I've been thinking about this a lot over the past couple questions that I've been asking. I feel like I should throw in another common criticism of this film, talking about the structures, talking about the way it examines someone who's been chewed up and spit out by this system. Joker 1 does end on the upbeat note for Arthur. Like, he's come into this identity. He's created this revolution.
Yeah.
He's
killed
his bully.
He's embraced his shadow in a way.
Yeah, he's embraced his shadow.
Run amok.
Ties into the
I guess
beginning.
not fully embraced it, but like he's let his shadow.
That's the implication of the end of the. This one recontextualizes that a little bit. No, he's still a loser. He's still being picked on by Brendan Domhnall Gleeson. I think a lot of people were upset that it took that triumphant ending for Arthur at the ending to the first movie, and took it into this direction in the second one. What would be your good faith counter to that?
Well, it just continues the character study that was started in Joker. Like, a lot of that, Arthur Fleck feels invisible. He's been picked on, but he also has this like core belief from his toxic mom that he was meant to make people laugh, that he took seriously. Like, he wants to bring joy. He doesn't ever like really want to be. He's just been picked on and picked on and picked on. And then we get to see, like, he embraces that, like he lashes out. But then this movie then goes in and examines, like how that affected everyone else. He sees the girl that he was in love with, that she was terrified of him. He sees the only person who was nice to him, Gary Puddles, was terrified of him. And then like the one guy in the Arkham Asylum who liked Arthur didn't like him for like his jokes, or the Joker persona gets taken out by who he thought was also his friend. So he sees that like that just outburst of violence, like he's just become the thing that he didn't like. He's become like the powerful, using his power to like push down the downtrodden people.
I agree with you, Alex. I agree with you. It's a good examination of this character. But John, people want to see the Joker be a badass. Come on.
Yeah.
They want to see him break out, and they want to see him be a badass. They want to go on a killing spree.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the correct choice not to have him be a badass? Why is the correct choice not for Joker 2 to be a power fantasy?
It would be weird. Both movies make Arthur very sympathetic even though he's like doing things that are bad,
horrible. Yeah.
Right? But he is still sympathetic in that way, and that is kind of what makes the first movie and this one tragic. And if the second movie had then just been him coming to power as the Joker and blowing up 2 ferries of people or something, it would have gone too far beyond. Like in the first one, he kills those 3 dudes on the subway,
right? And
they're being super rapey and gross and like dicks.
They get what
they deserve. And but if he had blown up a ferry with women and children and other people on it, then it would have been like, oh yeah, okay, I no longer feel bad for this guy. Batman should kill him.
That's going back to what Alex is talking about, though. Is his actions are kind of like, oh, he did do bad things. You made Gary Puddles feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he also
he sees that in the second one. We see Arthur see that he made Gary feel bad, that he made Gary feel the way that everybody always made him feel.
But self-reflection is bad, John.
Well, that's true. That's true. You should never think about anything.
Never.
I want him to be a badass. Okay,
that's right.
People are static, and they just stay the same all the time. That's good movies.
Harvey Dent is in this film. One of my favorite. I mean, going a little lore about me. My favorite Batman villain when I was a kid was Two-Face. Tommy Lee Jones.
That's a good one.
Alex, did you like Harvey Dent? I mean, the actors talked about he's like a showman in this. He's the opposite of Aaron Eckhart's portrayal in The Dark Knight, where he's like Gotham's savior that gets corrupted. This one, he's like a showman. What did you think about the portrayal of Harvey?
Like I'm fine having Harvey Dent in this, but it was at first one of those things. I was like, oh, interesting. Like we're just tossing tiny bits of connective tissue. How far are we gonna go? With these like tips of the caps or Easter eggs or whatever connective tissue to comic books and all that stuff. I mean, we don't really get to know him too much. We just see like from Arthur's perspective what like the DA's like what it looks like, and it carries on from this like sort of re-examination of the Waynes being the ultra rich type of thing. So now we have a prosecutor trying to throw the full book at him, because this is going to be the trial of the century. A guy shot someone on live television. So as opposed to seeing Harvey Dent as this white knight savior that can be corrupted, we're looking at it from that system we've already established where the people with power don't think very much of the lowly. And so he's just taking this case as a young assistant DA to make a name for himself. I'm the guy who got, that Joker guy fried. I put him in the electric chair. So yeah, I mean, he's already, I guess, in a way, you can see where he might become a villain out of this because he already is kind of villainous. It's still, just abusing the system, stepping on the downtrodden, not trying to really help anyone, just himself.
I love the actor's portrayal of Harvey. Harvey is really fun. There was I remember the line I was trying to recall earlier. He's like, ma'am, if you want to start again from the highlighted section, like some of his the choices in his delivery were great.
It was good.
John, did you like Harvey Dent, or were you like, get him out of here?
Yeah, I mean, he's I like that we didn't see a lot of him as Two-Face, but he still ended up there. Like, spoiler.
Somebody check on his face.
In case you didn't know, Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face.
That was the best part of the movie. Is I'm where is Harvey Dent's face? Is it all right?
He's good. It would have been interesting to see more of his character,
but I don't think you needed to.
Yeah, because it's a Joker movie.
Well, like Batman, Bruce Wayne in the first movie. The first movie is also a Joker origin story. Well, Joker origin story, but it's a Batman origin story as well. But you don't focus on Batman. This is also a Two-Face origin story, but you don't need to focus on Two-Face. It's just
Right.
this is a Joker movie. So
Everyone is caught up in Arthur Fleck's wake, is what we've learned.
Right. He's the most.
we're gonna build up to it.
Okay.
Garrett Puddles. Let's talk a little about the comedy in this movie. It's a very dark movie, but it's a very funny movie. John. Let's start with you, John. You were laughing more than I've ever seen you laugh during this movie. This is the funniest movie you've ever seen. Elaborate.
There's a lot of it that's really messed up, and it's funny in how messed up it is, and like ridiculous. The whole idea of the narrative is that Arthur is being put on trial, and so Gotham has decided to make it the first televised national public trial, and they allow all those crowds to be right outside the steps of the courthouse, and like there's a line in one of the off-camera news radio programs where somebody is like, well, this is just what you get when you cut social services, and you get what you deserve. But it's fucked up, but it's good.
Alex, is this an absurdist comedy? Was that the intent?
I mean, I don't think the intent was to make a true absurdist comedy. There are parts that do sort of ride that line, I think, because there were moments where stuff would just seem silly that I'm like, are we the only ones laughing at is the movie fully in on this? But then there's other parts where they did sort of ramp up the comedy elements.
Well, the Foghorn Leghorn whole impression
that bit, and like still one of the funniest things. I did not expect it to happen. Arthur makes the joke. He's like, you know what I regret about my Murray interview? I should have shot first and let him ask me questions later. Like that was a banger of a joke, man. My God.
Is that a joke, Arthur?
Yeah. Just hilarious. So, I mean, in ways, yeah, I think they were trying to bring more comedy into it. I mean, obviously, Todd Phillips got a comedy background. But being like full absurdist comedy, I don't necessarily think so. I think some stuff may have just ridden that line, and maybe just for us because of
John, it was like a laugh a minute. I cannot emphasize enough. Like I sat in between you, Alex, and you, John, and I was like, I got both. Relatively normal person watching the movie, and then John just laughing his ass.
I was a normal viewer until.
We'll talk about that ending. We're going to talk about the ending in our. Sometimes I laugh and it doesn't match how I feel. Actually, it does. It's funny. Let's switch these two around. These two notes that I have. Joker 2, because this is going to talk about Harley's storyline more. Joker 2 is a cautionary tale about relationships. Harleen likes the idea of the Joker. She sees this idea. She builds him up without really knowing him. She meets him, discovers what he's really like, discards him after he's done all this emotional growth. Alex, examine that.
Well, I mean, again, like both movies are examining how Arthur Fleck is invisible to the system and to like everyone around him. We learn even more in this one about how his mom didn't take him seriously,
right,
and was like talking trash on him to all these people. So it less so about like relationships, more so about like this is what Arthur Fleck's existence always has been. Comedy and tragedy were pretty close together in the ancient Greek times, and it's like. It's still a tragedy because, Arthur Fleck wanted attention. He wanted it, but then the cost of it was too great. And yeah, part of that is learning that through the heartbreak of Lee Quinzel. But I mean, so there, cautionary tale a bit, but also still just that like character study of someone who had been invisible, and then what they did to become visible made them not like themselves. So,
John, I can't emphasize enough. It's a very bold decision, I think, to have the Joker be left by Harley Quinn. In a typical, dynamic is that Harley Quinn is the henchman, does whatever the Joker wants. I mean, we watch the episodes. Come on, we've seen Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, we're professionals.
They subvert that, and I was not expecting that at the end. And then she chooses to leave him. Is that good?
Yeah, because he's not the Joker.
Yeah,
the Joker that takes over Harley's basically identity and agency. That's later. That's Joker 3.
Or
when it's not about.
Yeah.
or it's an idea that she had in her
Joker
head.
2.5, because as you said, Joker 3 is the Dark Knight.
Well, the Joker 2.5 is Batman Begins.
Oh, right. That's
Joker
right. That's
3.
the side quest. The Pumbaa. Batman.
Lion King 1.5.
Batman is the Pumbaa of the Joker verse.
So as I get next to my expectation, my next note is expectations versus reality. 500 Days of Summer. But before I say that, we will. We've teased it a lot. At the end of the movie, Arthur Fleck has this realization prompted by Gar Puddles that he's not the Joker. He's been using this idea as a coping mechanism to deal with it, and he overcomes it in his the last joke is that there is no there is no Joker. It's just an idea. It's just Arthur being a scared guy lashing out. He comes to terms with that. He overcomes it. He decides to be with Lee. She doesn't want to be with him anymore because she likes the idea of the Joker. He gets sent back to Arkham Asylum, shivved to death by a guy who then carves a smile in his own face.
Yeah,
the implication there being that the real Joker is the friends we made along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, would you like to talk about your history with this scene?
Yeah. So again, like the idea that was in my head, which is kind of funny because people now complaining about this one are making a similar complaint. They had a different idea of where they wanted this to go, and they didn't like where this one went.
That's the next note. Yes.
Yeah. But for me, that was Joker 1. Like in that movie, I was 100% convinced that Arthur Fleck was going to die, and then we would have like some kind of montage of people putting on Joker makeup, and like still we have the ambiguity, we have the mystery. This is the inspiration of the Joker story, a guy wearing clown makeup and shooting a talk show host live on television. Like, that's still rad, but like that being stolen from him was like a cool idea for me in the theater. I was so excited for this to happen, and then it did not. The first one in Joker 1.
Part 1,
part 1. So we're sitting there.
I was wrong.
I know.
And you got to point out, as we're leaving the theater, you're telling me this story first time I can recall. You're like, man, it would have been great at the end of part 1. This is what I wanted at. They didn't do it. Whatever. Okay, let's go watch part 2.
Yeah, we were sitting there talking about it before, and that's because I was just telling Sam my history off camera before with Joker 1, and I was like, yeah, man, that's really what I wanted to happen. I wanted Arthur Fleck to die, and for it to be ambiguous who the Joker was, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going through this movie, and I'm having a great time in this one.
Laughing it up.
Yeah, like, again, the songs are good. It's well filmed. It's well acted.
Funny.
Everything's great. Yeah, we're having a great time. And start to sense that, like, dour note. Because I was also wondering, because the one review we saw was that it's so nihilistic and cynical, it made Zack Snyder look like Bluey, which is hilarious. That's a sick burn. But I was wondering, because I was like, this movie's very fun. Like, where is this coming? So it was like, I'm in the back of my mind, like, wondering, like, how dark is this ending going to be to, like, undo all of this fun we've had in this movie? And then so it's like just waiting. And it kind of expected, as soon as, like, Arthur Fleck didn't commit to the Joker persona, I was like, oh yeah, Harley's going to leave him. I almost thought that she was actually going to off herself at the thing. I was like, woof, we're going real dark with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, that's crazy. And then that bit happens. I was like, oh, this is nihilistic. And then he's walking down, and the guy comes up, and he's like, can I tell you a joke? And that's when I was starting to be like, oh, we're going to kill him. But like in my mind, I'm not getting the ending that I think I'm going to get yet. And then when he starts to laugh, I start piecing it together, and it's like we're in a quiet. I mean, granted, we saw it at a time there weren't that many people in our theater, but the theater was pretty quiet. And then as soon as the guy who kills Arthur Fleck like starts to laugh, I'm like kind of excited. And then he goes to carve his face, and I'm like, yeah, I knew it. I was like, best movie. I apologize for my take on Joker 1.
And they don't they don't draw.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious what's happening. I mean, I did as I was typing into my phone Joker Folie à Deux, and one of the fill-in responses was Joker Folie à Deux ending explained. So I'm like, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Maybe not for everybody,
but
they
don't.
don't.
On the nose, maybe
They don't highlight it though.
Yeah.
They like it's like he's in the background carving his face while the camera's zooming in on Arthur dying.
And he's out of focus too. You just see like an arm come up.
It was like I had to be paying attention. Like, is he? Oh, he is. Oh, and then the camera's
I was
off.
having the best time.
Alex was like, he
Cloud
was
nine.
seconds away from getting up and cheering.
Yeah,
like,
standing ovation.
Meanwhile, everybody else is like dead silent.
Yeah. I have moved past Arthur dying so fast.
I was still caught up in that a second because
Yeah.
until he does the Glasgow smile, I was like, this is a dour fucking ending.
Yeah,
His girlfriend leaves him, and then he dies.
Yeah, I was just so happy to be like, called it, man. Sorry, Todd. I should have believed back in the day. I didn't realize it was a part one. But yeah, no, it was great, and even like how it is so dark and tragic that like Arthur Fleck was killed by the Joker persona, like it did fully consume him, you know, and use his own joke against him. Yeah, like it's so brutal, but in a way, it's also like that. Wow, what an ending! That's like it's good. It's good filmmaking, but it is. If it wasn't for me not realizing I was going to be proved right. And then having a great time being correct. It would have been a dour film.
John? Expectations versus reality. Before we get into that, though, I remember what I was going to say. This is a great time to talk about how Arthur Fleck is the most important person.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
He's the least significant person in the entire Batman universe, and also simultaneously the most significant. His actions that nobody remembers him for create both Batman and the Joker and Two-Face
and Harley.
Mm-hmm. There's probably other ones in there.
Probably other ones in there
to make Joker expanded universe movies.
Yeah. And he's dead, and nobody will remember him.
That's right.
And nobody will give a shit.
Because Heath Ledger takes over.
He was thinking about a joke. You wouldn't get it.
So the chronology, John, is Joker 2019, Joker Folie à Deux, The Dark Knight.
Yes.
If you want to, Batman Begins and,
it's like,
Dark Knight Rises.
That's a spin-off that
expanded
you can watch
universe.
if you want more of
if you're
Batman.
a completionist.
Like Andor, Still pretty good, but, Expectations versus reality. I think that's why people are grappling with this movie. We are in the minority, is my understanding. I enjoy the film. I like it a lot. Don't know if it's better than the first one. I'm going to try and answer that when we get to the end. But why are people disliking that? What is it about their expectations? I mean, we've interrogated a little bit, but I want to harp on this more because we watched some reviews and people were very upset by this. Should people just let the film wash over them? What is this? How do we solve this, John? How can people feel what we feel?
I do all the time, and I've talked about it on other episodes. Watch movies, and when it gets to the end, been like, I didn't like that because I was expecting some other thing. I think I did that for what's the movie with Hannibal Lecter in it where everybody's getting drunk all the time?
Oh, Another Round with Mads Mikkelsen.
In that one, you and I talked about that
Hannibal?
one.
I was like,
and I remember like when we were talking about it, I had just watched it, and I was like, I didn't like it. It was bad.
It's a good movie.
But as we were talking about it, I realized it was because I had been expecting it to do something else, and then at the end, it didn't do that thing, and I went, oh, bad. Like my knee-jerk response was,
well, maybe they'll
this
make
wasn't what I
another
wanted.
round, last call, and you'll be right.
Last Call would be a great subtitle for a last round sequel. Another round sequel.
My close personal friend Leonardo DiCaprio is working on an American remake of Another Round, and I imagine it'll lose all the nuance that the foreign film had.
Is he really?
Yeah, he is.
Weird.
Yeah. I watched a foreign film, Alex.
I'm proud of you.
2021, I did.
You're one per decade.
It's the end of my notes.
That you watched a foreign film?
No, just the last thing I have verbatim: people inspired by Arthur abandon him. His actual friends suffer.
Yeah, that was John's note. You wrote it down.
Yeah, John, thank you for that. That's the note. I didn't lie. It's the note I have. Last note I have written down. Do you have any notes you want to go through?
I mean, I think we covered most of the stuff I wanted to talk about.
I have the Wikipedia page we can start going through.
Again, just sort of overall notes. It was another really well made movie. Again, echoing shots and ideas from the first Joker. Just a solid sequel. I think what a good sequel should do is further the character progression, even though a lot of people felt like it didn't, which was a weird critique to see. But
it's
so
a
often
character assassination by character reversion, I believe, is what I heard.
It's like he went back to where he was at the beginning of the first movie, but that's not accurate because at the beginning of the first movie he didn't have an understanding of what was happening in his own head.
Yeah.
So he is back to not being the Joker, but that's because he has gone through a journey and changed and grown.
But he never was. There never was a separate personality. It was always Arthur Fleck.
Right.
Like, he only leaned into the Joker name because that's what Murray called him. He's like, look at this Joker, you know, and he had been wearing clown makeup, and he just like was trying to be someone else. But like they're like the question that's being interrogated, it was never an actual question. That's why Arthur's always so frustrated by it. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, again, it was good. Like, you know, so many sequels, they get dunked on in Last Action Hero. They just reset the hero to factory settings, but bringing in the more and more distant relative to get killed to spur them back into action. Like this one, it did. You know, we took the character where they were and then like re-examined what they did so that they could continue their journey through. You know, like if we're gonna Joseph Campbell in this, like at the end of the other one, he's in the upside down, he's in the chaos. You know, he's embraced, or he's like interacting with his shadow, but he hasn't done integration. He hasn't made peace. You know, he's just lashing out violently and not examining what that actually means, what impact that has. Is this who he wants to be? And in this one, we get to see that. You know, we see people manipulate him for this, what they think is a powerful character. And he just sees like what power did to him. It made the people that were always nice to him afraid of him.
It's a good movie. I think what Todd Phillips proved in the first movie is that it's the Joker IP, but he is telling a story. He's not to be pretentious. He's making a movie. Okay,
Yeah.
he's not making some cape shit. He's making a movie, and people people praised him for that in the first film. Yeah, it's the Joker, but you're really making an interrogation of this complex individual. He took it a step further in this movie, and he was while he was praised for it in 2019. I guess it was too far for some people in this movie. I thought it worked. I thought the execution worked. I've seen people online disparage Todd Phillips. I think the quote that I saw was, "Thank God we didn't let him run the DC universe." And I'm like, yeah, we would have gotten interesting characters. Imagine that. Instead, we got James Gunn.
You know, if there's an element of it that some people like the Joker character that they know already, and what they want is for the movie to be like, yep, he's good for doing this. It's actually good that the Joker goes on a rampage through Gotham and kills people because they're all getting what they deserve. Everybody gets what they deserve, and so I should watch that uncritically, and the movie should say, you're good for liking that, as opposed to saying, oh, this is all pretty fucked up, audience member. Maybe the fact that you enjoyed that aspect of it says something about you. You know what I mean? But
We found that a lot of the people, I liked the first film. Yeah, it's a complex interrogation of this person. I found a lot of people liked it because for different reasons, and that's come to the forefront in Joker. Fully ado.
what did you think, Sam, about so the first movie, right? There's a bunch of stuff that happens that you don't know is in Arthur's head until the end, right? In this one, they play with that in the sense that scenes go from normal to fantasy without really being clear that that's where the transition happens. How do you feel that? How did you like how they did it in this one compared to the first one?
The first one, I think it was more intentional with its trying to mix reality versus his fantasy, with the whole Sophie plot twist in that movie. This one, I felt like it was more telegraphed. Like there's that scene where he's watching on television, he's watching the news coverage, and they ask him how he's feeling, and he does this whole song, and it hard cuts right back to where he was before he started singing.
Yeah.
It felt very musical-ish, Mamma Mia style. So I don't know. I thought it was fine. I didn't find it to be very confusing. There's one moment in the film, a very pivotal part of the film, where Harleen visits him while he's in solitary confinement. That's the biggest question mark, where I still don't know if it was real or not, because that ties in to something that comes back later, because she tells him
might be real.
Yeah, they have sex, and she tells him that she's pregnant. But then he comes back and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna have a baby," and she just kind of looks at him like,
No, I lied again.
Yeah.
I've been doing that's like my whole thing.
"Bro."
Yeah.
Cautionary tale. I liked it. What did you think, John? Did you think it was? I mean, I thought it was pretty. I don't know if telegraphed is the right word, but I don't know.
You know, it works in the first movie that they don't make it clear because of what they're doing at the end. But we know going into the second one that Arthur sometimes has those fantasies and delusions and hallucinations about what's happening. And so they can't do another twist of psych, all these things you just saw in Joker Part 2 were in his head, because we already know that that's a thing that happens to him.
Yeah.
It was a
So
trick
using
that
it
could work
in
only
2,
once.
yeah, and so then using it in 2 in a way that is like they do that hard cut back to the moment where he went into fantasy, and so I think that's the only way they really could have done it, short of just not doing it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it felt, again, this movie feels like the natural continuation of Joker 2019, which is why I understand some parts of why people don't like it, but I'm very confused as to just like, what did you expect in a Joker sequel? Again, they expected a power fantasy where he breaks it. There's the moment where it seems like him and Harley are going to break out in this movie, and if I had to pinpoint where the movie started to go south for people that aren't us, I think it would be them. Like, because they try and break out and they don't break out, and then they go back to kind of character stuff. And people are like, no, I don't want character stuff. I want things happening, things blowing up.
I want the Joker to break out of Arkham Asylum, and then I
Capers.
want him to hold 2 fairies hostage.
Yeah. Yes. So I very much appreciate they went for something different. This was never going to be in the Matt Reeves universe. This is never going to be in James Gunn's cinematic universe. So I appreciated how ballsy it was.
It would be weird to watch a later DC thing and have this be in universe and have Arthur be the Joker, and to have the Joker character doing all the things the Joker does.
That's not this
and
character.
Think,
yeah.
That's Arthur.
Yeah.
Weird. You know, it would be out of place.
Yeah.
He has to die and be replaced.
Yeah.
Although I could see Arthur going a little bit crazier and trying to like put a smiley face on people and killing them that way.
Yeah, I mean that almost is like the old prankster Joker, not our modern nihilistic need to blow up stuff.
I missed that about the 1989 movie, is that he left the smile on. I hate that realistic shit. Give us gothic Arkham Asylum, am I right?
Truly.
Where else do we go with this?
What was the original question you asked, John? So we got off track.
Expectations versus reality.
Expectations versus reality.
Yeah, that's why I'm having a hard time. Yeah. I mean, again, I kind of get why people don't like the movie. But what did you expect?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect to be right, and that was surprising and satisfying.
What I do love, though, is I say expectations versus reality, and part of why Alex loved it is because it matched his expectations from 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years I've waited for this.
And I just let the movie wash over me. I'll be honest, Alex, when you told me here's what I wanted to happen, I was kind of like, I'm fine with how the first one ended. I'm fine that they didn't
That's
do
what
it.
most people said. And I was fine with it after the fact. I was like, it would have been better, but like it's cool, it's whatever. This I still don't see this guy being that like actual Joker. I think it's even like I didn't give it as much thought, as I have now with the movie proving me correct that like it makes his life even more tragic. It ended in a punchline and he's like robbed, and like also makes the Joker even more of a bastard that he like stole this whole thing, but at the same time, it's good. It's good. As a Bat fan.
As a Bat fan.
Yeah.
As a fan of the Bat fam, I enjoyed it. The last thing was that I had brought up previously off camera, does this undermine the ending to Joker 1? Because I'm thinking of a joke cut to Batman's origin story. What do you want to tell me? You wouldn't get it. The implication being these two are destined to do this forever, kind of like the line from The Dark Knight. It's not really the case anymore, but I think that's saved John by what you told me in response is, no, he's still the most important person. He's still always going to be tied to Batman's origin story, just not the way we thought.
Yeah.
Good movie.
It's like the whole thing's a joke.
And it'd be weird for Batman to be an adult and Joker to be like a senior citizen.
Yes,
no, that's
would.
that's where those guys
Joker to be
preferred
like,
having a time machine.
Yeah, time
It's
machine.
like what?
I've heard some
You
people
hate
say
time travel.
I've heard some people say you can just lie and say Arthur was 21 in Joker and then have him be 50 in the Batman movie. I'm like, that wouldn't make any.
But yeah,
Joaquin Phoenix does not look like he's in his 20s in the Joker 1.
right.
It's just because Arthur's had a hard life. He's aged by
He's
his
lived hard.
difficulties, so he's 21.
Yeah. Maybe. But instead, we got again, the correct thing. It was all an inspiration for the real Joker.
Let's summarize. John, summary view. What say you? You saw Joker Folie à Deux.
Sorry, you.
I rhymed. Sorry, I got caught
that
up in
was good.
rhyming.
Yeah, that.
Your Rotten Tomatoes snippet, like I showed you guys. If you had to,
Your
Bluey,
tagline. Yeah.
Zack Snyder.
It's fucked up and depressing and tragic, but also hilarious, and makes all of Batman better.
Out of 5.
6 bags of popcorn.
6 bags.
Alex,
Easy
summary
six-bagger.
view. What say you? Folie à Deux.
I mean, one, y'all were there. It was hilarious how much of an emotional high I was on when Arthur Fleck died, and we realized that that guy back there was the real Joker.
Cheering.
Yeah, that was, which is just deeply funny. How excited I got. So I love this movie. 5 bags and two little knives.
One for each. Yeah,
Yeah,
twice up.
exactly. Exactly. But also, yeah, I think it definitely helped me have a new and deeper appreciation for the first one. I'm excited to be able to watch both of these like back to back, to like look for more of that connective tissue, look for more of those like tips of the hat, like line references, shot references. We picked up on some of them, but now I'm sure there's like way more, and that's going to be fun to like go and look for and watch and like think about Arthur Fleck as a character and like this big 2-movie tragedy comedy that was his story.
2 and done. Not even a trilogy. He's out of here.
They already made the third one.
Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Summary view. Todd Phillips makes no. Summary view. Summary view. Todd Phillips makes no apologies for his movies. He wanted to make his film, twice, and he did it. He did not let anybody's, can you make it, Batman, Brussels sprout? No. He made his movie, and I respect that. I was there for it. This movie is the natural continuation of Joker 2019. I don't know what anybody else expected. This movie makes the most sense. Everything that worked about the first movie is emphasized in this movie. Mm-hmm. The musical scenes in the first movie brought back, expanded upon in the best way possible in this movie. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is stellar as well. The cinematography, the direction. There's that, even just little things like the umbrellas at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
they're all black, and in his mind,
fantasy,
it's fantastic. Everything that worked about the first movie, I think they amped it up to 11 in this movie. I really liked Joker Folie à Deux.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I think Todd Phillips doesn't make cape shit, and I respect that.
Have you decided which one's better?
Joker 1.
All right, you're wrong, but that's cool.
Yeah. It's always funny because it's like Joker 2 is I like it more, but it needs Joker 1 to get where it gets.
True. And there's a lot of stuff that is in Joker 2 that is explicitly built on.
Yeah, it's like
shots,
the
score,
Kill Bill movies. If I could
like
make
that.
them one movie, that's my favorite Tarantino. So like they'll just be one movie for me. Just 4 hours. Just a nice Sunday afternoon.
4 hours is about
Watch
one
2,
movie. Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. 3.5, 4 hours.
2 depressing movies that at the very end I'm just like, hell yeah, I'm ready to carpe some diem. I was right.
Thank you, Todd Phillips.
Yes, thank you.
This has been the Film Fan Club Show's 100th episode. I'd like to thank John Lein and Alex McKellar both for joining me this week. You can find the Mission Matinee podcast on the Film Fan Club network of podcasts, Apple and Spotify. You can also find the archive of our other bonus podcasts. I'm Sam Carrico. You can follow me on the various social media sites at Samuel D. Carrico or the Film Fan Club, just at the Film Fan Club. Again, this has been the Film Fan Club Show. On behalf of John Lein and Alex McKellar, I'm Sam Carrico. Thanks so much, and always remember, that's... I don't talk to her.